All right, welcome. I am Professor Heath. This is Money Misfits, and I am here with Betty Moritz, the lead vocalist to Gold Steps. And before I get into your introduction specifically, I just wanted to read off of your webpage because I absolutely love it. The bio that you guys provide on your webpage is so on point. So I'm just going to read it verbatim. Gold Step has fine-tuned their energetic live show through extensive touring, including supporting Say We Can Fly and Joni Gilbert on a full U.S. tour in 2022, which is what I think you were just talking about. They've opened up for Billboard charting artists Charlotte Sands and Stand Atlantic and Let Down. You have performed at the Vans Warped Tour, which is really cool. I want to talk about that. Summerfest, South by Southwest, which I also want to talk about. And then So What Music Fest. And then the part that I really like is Alternative Press named Gold Steps as one of the 13 artists who are reclaiming the pop punk music scene in 2021 alongside Meet Me at the Altar and Jetty Bones. So this is the part that's really cool. Gold Steps has over 1.69 million streams on Spotify with tracks featured on playlists including Pop Pink's Not Dead, New Punk Tracks, and Fresh Finds Rock. I'm so bad at reading. I'm so stoked that I got through that okay. So anyway, that's Gold Steps. You are Betty. 102 include what I haven't included so far.
So I think our numbers might be a little bit low right now, so I think we need to go back in and update those. But for the most part, the bio covers just about everything. We did take out the part about how the band originally started in Austin, Texas, and we transplanted up to Milwaukee, which is where I'm originally from. And now the remainder of our band, sans our guitarist, Zach, who I'm married to, he is originally from Texas. So I convinced him that Milwaukee was a really great place to be and Wisconsin's a great state to live in. And so he agreed to move up here because I really missed my family and being home.
Now, has it been, you're definitely jumping ahead, but how has the transition been from, so you hear so much about Austin being a great uh, mecca for up and coming artists, but you don't really hear the same thing about Wisconsin. So like, just out of curiosity, how has the transition taken place? Did you move with all band members or was it just you and your husband and then you replaced two former members? Like, what does that process look like?
So when we left, it was kind of a whirlwind moment. And some of the things we're going to talk about, the financial and taxing aspects of like physically, mentally taxing aspects of being in a band is what led to
Yeah.
the move. We had been grinding for a while and I just kind of lost who I was and was like, I need to move home to like refine, like to reclaim like who I am. And maybe that's finding who I am outside of this band because we've been doing it for so long. And I had recently, we had been visiting a producer that we were working with, and he was like, the best thing that we ever did was move closer to my wife's family. And so one night drunk in Fort Lauderdale, I called my brother up and I was like, can we sleep on your couch if I like move home as soon as possible? And he was like, yeah, it sounds okay. Yeah, my place is your place. So Zach and I, within a month, we were in Wisconsin from that phone call. Like when I make my mind up, I have to act on it so that my anxiety doesn't take over and make all the reasons why I shouldn't do this thing. So
I'm totally the same. I'm totally the same way. Like I came up with this idea for this podcast and like the whole week leading up to this interview, it's like, fuck, why did I decide to do this?
hopefully
So
you feel
anyway,
good about it after.
no,
But
that's hope. That's always going to be the way it goes.
yeah.
Um,
And I guess to
and
answer your
so,
question, it was just my husband and I that moved. Our bandmates that we left behind, we said, hey, well, let's see if we can work something out long distance. We had already had dates booked in the Midwest that we did finish out before taking a little bit of a hiatus to like find a house, settle into what we were doing up here. And then the pandemic hit And eventually one of those members did move up here for a brief moment to rejoin the band, but we parted ways with that person last year after, it just was not working out anymore creatively.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah,
And so did how about we start your story from maybe the beginning, if you're okay with that? So, like
absolutely.
so, like, what led you into music? Did you go to college? Like, what's your backstory?
Yeah, so since I could talk, I was singing. My family has tons of these home videos of me, like, wandering around the yard in dresses. I only wore dresses as a little kid, like, little girl. Um, so I was constantly, like, singing, and I did karaoke as a kid, um, but I was not shy, but I was not well liked, I'll say, by some of my peers. I was picked on for being ugly. I was, um picked on for being a bookworm and being kind of a nerd. So it took me a while to really find myself, but I found pop punk when I was like in middle school. I remember hearing Blink 182 playing at the roller rink and being like, "What is this?" And my dad always listened to the alternative rock station, so I got introduced to Green Day through him, Sugar Cult from the local rock station up here. So then Warp Tour was like the big thing. Like I found my people in school and Hot Topic, and so like that I was one of those kids, I lived and breathed for Warp Tour when it would come to Milwaukee in the summer. But then when
You
I
share
Hmm?
Sorry, I was just gonna say you share a very similar background to my dad.
Oh,
So she
really?
was yeah, she was picked on in school and had a hard time kind of finding her place and was like a full-on huge bookworm, loved
Yeah.
reading, was she grew up on Green Day. So, like, when she was literally born, um, we played Green Day all the time, and, like, I remember her in her car seat singing to Green Day, like, when she was probably 1.5, 2 years old. So, like, a lot of your story resonates with very fond memories of my kids,
That's
so
that's
anyway,
awesome.
sorry for that.
But, like, that's where I found, like I felt seen in a lot of the lyrics that I heard. Because I mean, I grew up really anxious, I had depression, I still have depression, but I felt community through these bands who I'd never met, but I just, like, lived for those moments of, like, a new record coming out and connecting with music, so I was like, "This is what I wanna do," and Avril Lavigne came out in like 2002, I think. And I begged my parents for a guitar. I started writing my own songs. Like I all I wanted to do was like be in a band because to me Avril Lavigne was a band because she always had the guys with her.
Yeah,
Even
yeah,
though she was a solo artist, but she always toured with a band. And so I was, and then Paramore came out, and I was like, oh my gosh, I could literally, it doesn't have to be just me. I don't want to be alone playing music. But then I struggled
yeah,
to find people who wanted to make the same kind of music as me through high school. I struggled with having confidence and a strong voice, even though I was in choir. I was repeatedly told by people I would start bands with that, hey, your voice isn't that strong. Maybe you should do something softer. Like maybe you should consider acoustic, that sort of thing. And so I eventually just kind of shelved the idea. I had one band in college that we played a couple shows, but it was way too like rock for me. Like I really like the pop side of things melodically. The dudes I was in the band with were sweet, but they were definitely like a little more rough around the edges than I'm comfortable with. Um, but we stuck it out for a little bit. And then I was like, you know what? I'm in college. I really need to focus on getting my degree. My mom will forever deny it, but she was not. She was supportive of me doing music as long as it didn't affect me getting a career and like having a job and a normal life. And so there were definitely like moments where I was like, what am I even doing this for? Like nobody wants to write the same kind of music as me. And then I was dating somebody for a long time who would not join a band with me. He was a guitarist and he was in a band with a girl vocalist. And I was like, I'd love to start a side project with you. And he was the same thing, just like, I just don't think your voice is like strong enough. Like, I already have a band, like, you should do something else, blah, blah, blah. So I just didn't feel like anybody believed in me. And then I had to move to Austin because this dude got transferred and I almost didn't go. My mom, that was when she was like, "You know what? You've been talking about doing music. If you're gonna go, it's like the live music capital of the world. Like, go find it. Go find that music." So I ended up meeting my husband there and starting. I joined Zach's band, and then once we started dating, we ended up starting Gold Steps because the drummer of that band was like, "I am not going to have a No Doubt situation. I'm not going to have a Fleetwood Mac situation." And I was like, "No, I don't think you realize we both left other people we were with because we knew like we were the one for each other. Or at least I knew." Like, and jokes on that guy because we've been in Gold Steps for 9.5 years. We've been married for 8. So
It's amazing.
sometimes it just works out. But that was the shortest I could get that very long saga down to things.
No, I appreciate it. That like so my whole thing, right, is folding financial aspects into really interesting stories. So the more that you share with like who you are, who the band is, I think the more interesting the financial aspects of the conversation are interesting. So yeah, I totally appreciate it. And again, um, I hear a lot of parallels between your family and my family. So I moved to LA. Actually, I don't even need to get into it, but I lived in LA for a while and then met my wife through some friends and decided to move back to the Bay Area from LA and left my job, left everything. And it was like the best decision I ever absolutely made. When I quit my job, it was like right around the financial downturn in early 2000s, which totally predates you. But
I
it
mean,
was like,
I lived that though as like a lower middle class kid and having to watch my parents struggle. That actually is going to lead into some of the ways that I manage this band to this day.
nice.
Kids
Okay,
pick up on that.
so yeah, let's dive back into you. I did want to ask like what the origin behind Gold Steps, the name Gold Steps was.
Yeah, so there's this band named Neck Deep, and they're named after a lyric from a band called Crucial Dudes. So there's this like whole like almost like tradition or thing within the pop punk community where a band is named after like a lyric or a reference to a song that another band had out. So Zach and I, when we kind of had a feeling, like we didn't tell anybody at first when we were dating because we knew that it wasn't going to be well received by that one particular band member.
Yeah.
But we were always like, "Oh, well, whatever, we'll just start a side project." So we had already like put this like name away because we are both huge fans of Neck Deep's 2015 album Life's Not Out to Get You. And I was like, "Oh, like Gold Steps was like the anthem for us because the lyrics just meant so much to us about having to overcome things." So we kind of like squirreled that idea away. But I remember being like, we should probably jump on this because another band is going to take this name because this song is so influential to so many people. So luckily, like we got in, like, I think we officially started Gold Steps in February of 2016. And the album had been out for maybe like 6 or 7 months at that point. And there is another band named Gold Steps, but they're from like Indonesia. So we haven't really crossed paths with them too much.
And did you trademark the name or any of that stuff?
Actually, almost everybody has told us not to bother with it. At this point, we're way more established than the other band who was using the name.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like one of those things where like if we were gonna try and like fight it in court or something like that, it's first of all, we're all such small potatoes, it really doesn't matter. But
Yeah.
like we've been established, like our music's been played, like streamed on these playlists, we've played around the country. And a lot of people just were like, it's really not worth it because you're gonna have to keep that trademark up. We're not Taylor Swift. We're like,
Yeah.
so if worse comes to worse, we've seen bands change
I'll
their
figure
name.
it out.
We
Yeah.
maybe would be, some one of our band members would probably be okay with a rebrand at this point. But we're known as Gold Steps, and I think it would be tough for somebody to take that away from us. That's not a challenge to anybody listening.
No, I was just gonna say like we should stop talking about that. But
Gotta go
I
trademark
got
after this conversation.
exactly. So I got a trademark for Money Misfits because as soon as I came up with the name, I was like, fuck, somebody's gonna come up with this name. I know it. And it's like if you step back and think about it, it's like, no, dude, nobody's ever gonna. What that
But if it makes you feel so this is one of the things that we talk about with finances. If it makes you feel secure and less anxious about something that could happen, that peace of mind is worth it, right?
Wow,
It's
that's like
insurance.
very profound. Yeah. It felt like I was officially establishing something as well. So
Feels official.
anyway,
If you
yeah,
appear official, people will take you a little more seriously, I have found.
I totally agree with
Like,
that.
we're an
Oh,
LLC, so I guess there's that.
nice. Nice. And I have that built into our outline. So let's go into so you started the band with your husband in Austin, and then I kind of wanted to go through. It sounds like maybe you moved back to Wisconsin before you signed with what's the
Revival
record,
recordings.
Revival Records.
Yes.
So why not are you comfortable walking me through that process of signing with Revival and what it was like, how you managed that process? What emotional stress was it? Was it exciting? Can you just like dive deep into that experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So with Revival, we moved to Wisconsin in summer of 2019, and then the pandemic hit shortly thereafter, which is what kind of like stunted us for a little bit. But before we had moved to Wisconsin, we had recorded several demos that we were sending out to record labels. We had showcased for Hopeless Records and got denied. We got turned down, I think, from like Equal Vision, and there was another maybe Pure Noise. So we had a manager before we moved, Eric, who did us like, I mean, he did so good by us. He did right by us in every way that he could. But we just, for whatever reason, what we had wasn't quite hitting. The music was good, but there was some sort of missing component that didn't sell us to the labels. I took that really personally and figured like, oh, we're a failure because of me, which is part of why I was like, I need to move home and figure out what I'm doing with my life. And then once we had been up here, during the pandemic, we never really stopped wanting to continue the band. In fact, that probably put life in perspective of like, nope, if I went out tomorrow, the thing that I would be most proud of in my life is my music. I want to go back to that. I don't want to let that dream go. I was bummed. I went through a moment of depression, but I'm ready to get back into it. So we found members up here and started writing again. And we ended up finishing this EP that we had always planned to from some of those demos. And all of a sudden, we're like doing press and promo for this song called Stay the Same that came out in January of 2022. And this guy, Kevin, emails us and he's like, hey, I've been following you guys for a while. I see that you're releasing Stay the Same. Like I noticed all of a sudden you're active again. What are you guys up to? And we're like, oh well, we're releasing this song. And then we have another one coming out at this date. And he was like, okay, okay, okay. And so we talked to him for a little bit. We have a couple phone calls. He's like, I'm gonna pitch your stuff to our team. Because I like it and I think they'll like it too. And we go and film this music video for this song called Love Song. And we like have it ready to go. Like we're just going to release it, independently, like we did Stay the Same and the rest of our stuff. And he's like, but what if you waited? Because I really think what you guys have here, the rest of this EP, like we want to put it out. Like I really think that they're going to want to move forward with you guys. So it was a few months of back and forth. And then finally, after having a lawyer look over the contract they sent us, we officially signed with them. I think it was like towards the end of April, early May, but they didn't want to announce it until we dropped our first single with them, which ended up being Front Row. So while we looked over the contract and everything with a lawyer, we didn't have a personal connection with the lawyer. And I think he looked at it from the perspective of like, you're a small band. What you're going to get for your stuff is going to be so much less than, it's a smaller label. They're an independent label. So it's like self-run by like two people and then a handful of people who work kind of part-time. So we accepted what was pretty much offered to us. And in hindsight, I think it was like at the time we were like, we just want somebody else to like help because we do everything on our own and it's exhausting and that leads to burnout because we don't actually know what we're doing. We're just like figuring it out as we go.
Yeah.
I send a lot of emails and like would just like reach out to people online and be like, hey, we're this small band. Do you want to like do an interview or a podcast or something. So we were kind of looking to them to be like, we wanted a booking agent because we wanted to tour. We wanted to go across the country. We'd done that already by ourselves before, but we were ready for like someone else to kind of be like, great, I have this awesome band or product as like a label or any other company is going to think of us. And like they're going to do a good job for you if you like book them or whatever. Um, but unfortunately, just like being a small artist, working with a small label, they have connections, but it doesn't run as deep as, say, a big label that has major label backing. So, like a bigger imprint, like Thriller Records, being with Fearless. I think they're like an imprint of Fearless. So those labels even are owned by bigger companies or work with them as like a subsidiary. So they'll do something that's called upstreaming, which was kind of our like wish for Revival was that they were going to make enough of an impact that somebody bigger was going to say, hey, I like them. We want to upstream them to our label. We'll buy them out of their contract. So that was kind of like what I
Yeah.
think we were positioning ourselves or what we kind of thought the deal was. Like Revival Recordings was never the end game. They were a stepping stone to the next step of like being signed to a bigger label. Unfortunately, um, as things were really unpredictable after the pandemic, we had a small touring budget and the label, had been trying to get us to sign on to like some of these tours they were throwing our way. And the opportunity came up to do this full US tour, which we had done once before with some other bands. And we were like, oh, that's a great way to reach people. We know what we're in for. It's a lot of work, but we can do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
The label bought us on to this tour for $5,000. And that's another thing people don't ever want to talk about is smaller bands will often pay out, whether it's from their own pocket or their label's pocket, to buy an opening slot on a bigger tour. Because the idea is that you buy onto it, but what you get back is
Exposure.
so that, you think this bigger artist is going to bring in more fans and that you'll have crossover appeal. So their fans will become your fans. And at least you're out there doing something. Because if you're not doing anything, there's nothing to talk about. But being on tour is a great way to always have something to be posting about, always to have good, like new photos, that sort of thing. People hear about you. Um,
So, did
mhm.
I hear you right that you had to pay 5,000 to be in the tour that they were proposing?
We
Was
didn't pay
that?
that money. The label had the money set
No.
aside in a budget for us.
Yeah. Okay.
So the
Okay.
label paid $5,000, which goes against, like that's part of like the money that we now owe that label. So that
Oh,
they'll
wow.
earn from like our streams, selling merch that's exclusive to them, um, and that sort of thing. So now that the label's dissolved and we're no longer on it because the label doesn't exist anymore, they probably will never recoup that amount unless we all of a sudden blow up and all of our back catalog gets streamed to the point where they make back the money. But honestly, I can say they were maybe invested into us to the tune of about between $10,000 and $15,000, which isn't very much. But like for me, $15,000 is a considerable amount of money.
Yeah. So did you end up going on that tour with the record label?
We did. And
And
in
then, and
hindsight,
so,
it was I still am like on the fence about whether it was worth it for us or worth it for the label because the two artists we toured with, Say We Can Fly and Johnny Gilbert, were acoustic artists. Now we're a full band and we're
yeah.
we're loud. Like we put on a very high energy show. So even before we accepted it, we were going back and forth being like, "Are you sure this is the right fit?" But the label pushed it and they thought it would be good for us and we were like, "Well, we don't want to be in the label's bad, We don't want to be
Yeah.
on their
Yeah.
bad side. Like we want to show
Yeah.
we're willing to do the work, we're willing to play ball." But I don't think it was a good fit musically. In fact, the tour manager that managed the other two bands on that tour hated us, like treated us so poorly. Like I have a recording of him screaming at us for parking in their spot to load in on a day that it was raining. And I'm
Like,
sitting
yeah,
like we had full electric gear. They were touring with acoustic guitars and a couple of
that's
microphones. And
it's
he was
crazy.
like I mean, that was probably the worst I've ever been spoken to in my life. And I started recording because I was like, I'm sending this to our A&R guy. I'm letting him know, like, this is what we've been dealing with literally every day. This guy, like, just, it was like, it was like he hated his life and he wanted to take it out on us. And
Yeah,
it's funny
totally.
because he will occasionally, like, he's reached out to us since because he had to make up with us after that because I think
Yeah.
his touring party, they found out he's like yelled at us and they were like, you can't do that. You yelled at the only girl on this tour. Do you know how that's
Yeah,
gonna
no
look?
shit, right?
So, like, I don't care
Hey,
if
you gotta
you should
put that shit
never
on an album.
right, you should never talk to anybody like that, like,
Yeah.
ever. And I will remember that dude's face and his name forever, and I will never, ever work with him. He can
Yeah.
apologize to me up and down. There's no reason to ever talk to anybody or treat him like we did, and one first of all, he didn't even apologize directly to me. He apologized to my husband on
It's
like
even
the
worse,
right.
right?
I was like doing my makeup in the bathroom. This was right after Taylor Swift's Midnights came out. So I'm in there and I'm like listening to vigilante shit and Karma. And I can hear this guy, like I pull my AirPod out and I'm like, ooh,
What
yeah,
a
that is such a
fucking
bullshit
asshole.
apology.
Yeah.
Oh man, like I'm gonna go out there and give it 150% tonight. And we're gonna make
That's
every
so
single
awesome.
person in that venue pay attention to us. Because now I'm doing it out of fucking pettiness and spite
Totally.
because there's no reason for you to act like we were so nice the entire tour. Like he would just like it was just like there was so much ego. And also I do feel bad for him in a way because I've heard a lot of times the tour manager is just acting on behalf of the artists. And so like he had to be the bad guy because the artists felt like that. But
Oh,
that was
that's
like
even worse,
it
though.
is even
Yeah.
worse, but I honestly
Yeah.
kind of was like, "Why did you guys take our money and put us on this tour?" Like, you shoulda
Acoustic
like, you nobody
bands.
did any research to be like, "Oh, this band's totally gonna show up and, like,
That
be
sucks.
what they are." I'm not gonna downplay my music. We're not gonna downplay our show because we're opening for 2 acoustic acts who have, like, a completely different vibe. You guys
Yeah.
agreed they wanted the money, is what I'm
Yeah,
guessing.
totally.
Somebody
Totally.
wanted the money, and that's why buy-ons should only happen if it really is gonna work. The only reason
If
we
it's a
said yes
real
was because of our
investment.
right. The only like, our label
Yeah.
could have spent that $5,000 so much better, but they insisted on us doing this tour, and we'd already turned down a few other options for multiple reasons, and so we basically said yes because, well, we didn't wanna be the band that couldn't play ball for them.
Yeah.
So needless to say that besides them buying on because that wasn't money that we got to spend on gas or anything. That was money that $5,000 literally went to those 2 artists to pay their bills while they were on
And
tour.
so how did you guys pay for the rest? So,
Credit
like,
card.
the oh my god, really?
Well, I'm a pretty savvy saver, and we've emptied our bank account multiple times. We would be a lot further ahead personally financially if we didn't have the band, but I think of it as like a hobby, right? Like it's an expensive
Yeah.
hobby. I mean, to me, it's
Yeah.
everything, but
Yeah.
on paper, it's like a really expensive hobby. But sometimes I think about like we're lucky we have a house, like we have a nice house. We sold our house in Austin for a decent profit, and came up to Wisconsin before things got crazy up here. But there was definitely like moments where like I was like, wow, I had $20,000 in my savings account. And then over the course of 2 years, just spending everything to tour because we never let like our bandmates, I think when we first started the band, we would put in like 25 bucks a month to like a little band fund. But as soon as we were like, getting payouts from shows or whatever, like I never wanted somebody else to feel like they had to contribute to making this band successful other than like showing up, playing their instrument and giving like helping at the merch table and stuff. So like when it came down to everything, like we fronted the money for it. We paid for all gas. Like basically it was like, guys, just take care of your own food and clothing and we'll take care of the rest. Yeah.
How long was the tour?
So that tour was just about 30 days. We left on September 29th, I believe, and came back um on October 30th. Yeah.
So how do you balance that with, like, a 9 to 5? Like, how do you take the time off of work, or do you just resign altogether and look for a new, like, how does that all work for you?
So the first couple small tours we did, I had PTO at work that I used, and then after we played Warped Tour in 2018, I did come back and I quit my job. It was actually a very convenient exit because I was like looking for something else anyways, because that job was just destroying my mental health and my physical body. Like it was too much. So I was like, came back from Warped Tour and like was like, hey, I'm gonna quit because we're gonna keep touring. This was when we were really going for it, like touring every other month, being out on the road for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, an entire 6 week tour or whatever we did. And um, I resigned, and for a while I did gig work. So I kicked ass at Instacart, man. I was like Austin, like I would work crazy hours, and when I wasn't doing grocery runs, I was doing band stuff. Like, that was my entire life. I would get up as early as I could and answer emails and messages and, like, just, like, reach out to people if I needed merch or whatever, and then I would go to work. In between work, I would post on, like, social media. I would, keep up my communications with other people, answer comments, things like that. Come home at night, like, eat dinner, practice, do more band business stuff, and then, like, pass out.
That's
Yeah.
insane.
Play
That's like
shows.
the creative director, the CEO, the lead singer. It's just like, man, and managing your own 9 to 5. It's just insane.
My husband will tell you, like, there was a point where the band, almost destroyed our marriage. Twice.
No shit.
Yeah. Only because not because, like, not a there was never any, like, cheating or infidelity or anything like just because he's like, whenever things get intense with the band, he's like, "I lose you." Like, that is all you can talk about, or, like, you eat, sleep, and breathe it, and I worry for your physical, your mental health. Like, you're just, like, in this other world that we're both a part of, but you're somehow, like, over there with it. And that's
Yeah.
true. Like, we're kind of in a period of that right now, but we're taking time and being like, whoa, that was a lot. Let's put the phone down for an hour. Let's go to dinner. Like, we're carving out that personal time because we've been there. Actually, the song Gatsby is about how, like, he just almost was like, I just don't, I can't find you anymore. You're not like present in this relationship. And that's like, this band is not that important to me. You're that important to me. So the song Gatsby is about chasing the green light. The band is the green light, like chasing that like idea of like making it and then realizing that, oh my God, but the person who I started this with and the person who is going to be there, like, we're not going to be doing this when we're 80. We might not even be doing this when we're 40, but he is going to be there. I want him to be there because after all this is said and done, it'll be some really great stories to tell our future nieces and nephews or, our friends. But at the end of the day, those
Great story
people,
already to me.
yeah. Well, and that's the thing, like our bandmates too. I'm like, when we were like struggling a little bit last year and we thought things maybe weren't going to work out anymore, I was like, I don't want to do this without these people. Like, if one of them, like, the four of us are end, like, this is the end. If one of us leaves, I don't think we'll keep going because the four of us are so good together.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be like
Maybe
losing a
maybe
brother.
yeah, and but maybe it's the case that because it's the 4 of you, there won't be an end?
Maybe. I feel the most confident. Like, the songs we're writing now are like at the level I dreamed of them being. And like,
Oh,
we've worked
shit.
with co writers, most specifically Nick Thompson from a band called Hit the Lights. You should check them out. I think you'd love them. Very, very talented band. One of my favorite bands growing up. And when I finally got to like work with Nick, I was like, oh my God, what do I say in front of this guy? He's like one of my favorite vocalists of all time.
Oh, shit.
And then he farted in front of me and I was like, all
Oh,
right,
man.
he is a god, but
That's
he's a
awesome.
mortal god. And we're good friends to this day, like he came up to help us like he actually this last session of songs we did, we've had him come up here and hang out with us in Milwaukee for a couple weeks and he was like these songs are great. I think I've taught you everything I possibly could, but down here. I'm down to party for a couple weeks and still like add some bells and whistles and like rework anything you guys want or just work on something new. And so we were like, you know what, Nick? I think we've earned the right to just hang out and be friends for a couple weeks and do some
Nice.
tracking or whatever, like we did some work,
Yeah.
but it was also nice to just be like, wow, okay, cool. Cause, when you don't want all your time with your friends to just be work. That's why with the band, even, we're like, okay, it's somebody's birthday, like whatever, we're just hanging out, like watching a Packer game tonight, like no band shop talk, which is really hard for me, but we try.
So I get very much into teaching in my book and the podcasting. I get constantly told by my wife the same stuff. She's like, dude, you're not fucking here. Like I'm talking to you at times and I don't even feel like your responses even make sense to me. So I totally get you get lost in your projects because I very much am the same way. So
Zach and I
I
have
think
we have like our own language. Cause like the truth is once you've been married for long enough, your life just your language with each other just devolves into certain noises or like vocal
yeah,
stems or like
totally,
body language or faces.
totally.
And he can always tell when I'm not paying attention because I'm like, yep, we or yay. Or there's this little meme that goes around of gremlins where he's
Yeah.
like, how's your night going? He's like, fun, neat.
No,
And like that's now become like a vocal stim for us because when I'm not paying attention, he'll just go, neat, fun. And I'm like, yes,
that
sorry,
so
neat,
so
fun.
so mine is really, really. So my daughter and wife will be like, really, really. They're like,
I love
don't
that
fucking
though.
say that to me. Yeah.
They
So
know
I
you though, and you know
yeah,
what it
they totally
means
do.
because they're doing it to
Exactly.
poke fun at you. And then you're like, I'm sorry, you're
Exactly.
right, really, I'm gonna step back.
Exactly. Exactly. Like you're no kidding, and really are my two responses when I'm like my mind is somewhere else, sort of paying attention to somebody. So like I totally get it.
We're big
So
fans
like
of
if
South
you're
Park too. So like there's an episode where one of the guys is like, he's like, how do I talk to girls on a date? And he's like, oh, I'll help you. Okay, so now say, wow, that is so interesting. Tell me more. Or wow, I never thought of it that way.
totally.
I'm like, no.
Maybe I should like train myself to come up with better responses moving forwards.
I mean, a lot of times, like when I'm venting, like I don't really want somebody to respond. I'm just like using them as like a vent board. So like if that was
Yeah.
the best thing they said to me is like, wow, that's totally interesting. Tell me more. I was like,
Yeah, I'm
I'm
gonna keep
about
going.
to.
That's a cue to keep going.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So a few things that you've been talking about are like I find really interesting, which is like, okay, so you let's say you go play a show, and how much do you make in the show? And then how much do you decide, like how much of what you make goes to keeping the band afloat versus how much do you give the other members in the band? Like, how do you balance that? Is it something that you guys agree on? Is it something that you do what feels right? Like, how does that work?
So recently, up until recently, we never made enough money to like pay out people. And even right now, we're just like, there's been some talk of certain offers. But we kind of agreed that any original show we play where we make money from things that we like, it's our music that we wrote, it all goes back into the band because people don't realize how expensive it is to track music, send it out for mixing and mastering to get high quality things. And also, you have to think about merch and then travel. So, like, at this point, we have a decent enough coffers that we have built up since. So after that tour, we were completely cashed out. To like my husband and I lost money, like because we covered all of the gas. Some nights we covered food because we were like, wow, that was a really rough night. Let us get
Yeah.
pizza for everybody. And we were at that time, our drummer couldn't tour, not our current drummer, our previous drummer. So we were paying a fill in. So this is another thing people don't talk about. If your band members can't do it, you just don't do it, or you have to get a fill in. And the band member has to be okay with getting a fill in because if you say, okay, cool, you can't make it, we're just going to get a fill in, they will not like that. Our drummer was
Yeah.
very unhappy about it, but we were like, honey,
Interesting.
we have to do this tour. Like the label is really pushing us on it. If you like, you don't want to lose your job, we 100% get that, but we need somebody who's going to drum on this tour.
Yeah.
So on that tour, this 30-day tour, we were on the road for 30 days. We only played 16 shows. There was promise that more were going to get booked, and that did not happen.
And do you get paid when you play at these shows, or is it just
So
so
we,
you do
for that tour, we were guaranteed $100 per show, but we only
the
played
whole
16
band
for the
for
whole
the whole
band.
band?
That was our
Uh,
offer as the opener. Again, so this is where
uh,
this is like on paper, I should do the math someday, but I think it'd make me too mad. And it was 3
I don't
years
think I
ago.
would do the math.
Right. So our label paid these two artists $5,000 to go
Yeah,
on tour with them to open for the privilege of opening for them. We were
yeah.
guaranteed $100 a night. On nights we played, one show did get canceled and they did pay us out for that. And we had to miss a
Mm,
show because somebody got injured in our camp. They didn't pay us for that show, which is totally fine. So I think so we got paid $1,500, we'll say, from them for the entirety of that tour. Now we had to pay a fill-in, and the guy gave us a discounted rate of $75 a night. So we were only making $25 a night that we played. So not every night of the tour, every night that we played. 75% of that went to our fill-in. So then we had to rely on merch sales. This is where I got mad with the tour manager, especially. There were nights that, like, clearly they want their artists to sell their merch, and they had a lot of merch.
yeah.
They would not let us set up our merch until they chose their spots first. Fine, that makes sense. There were some nights they literally had us shove our merch into a far corner, and then they would have the exit route for the. This is where I was like, do you guys really hate us? Like, you hate us. You don't want us to be successful at all. What the hell? There was a night in San Antonio where they put our merch table and the opener's merch table over here, and the exit from the stage and their merch area was right here, right before our merch table. And the security guard stood in front of our merch table and was routing people out. So there were so many people that like they had to like we ended up going out into the crowd and be like, "Hey, saw you in the crowd for our show. Just so you know, we're hanging out at merch over there. We got free stickers, but like we'd love to like sign anything or take a picture if that's something you're into. But just so you know, our merch is way over there."
Wait.
So it definitely hurt our merch sales. And we bought so much merch because the label and everybody we talked to was like, oh my gosh, these shows are going to sell out. It's going to be such an amazing tour. There were more nights on that tour where we had 20 people. There was one night we played to 4 people total for
No
the
shit.
headliner.
No shit.
So like people think
So you
touring's
pay
glamorous. As a small artist, it is definitely rough. You do it to get experience, to learn things, and to hope that each single person in that audience might like you enough to follow you on Instagram or stream a song. Or best case scenario, they become a super fan. And we did meet a couple
yeah.
super fans on that tour. But
And so if somebody becomes a super fan, um, what like how does that translate to? And again, an artful way of asking, but how does that translate into money or does it translate into money for you? Do you sell them merch? Are you making money off of merch sales like after the tour?
so ideally, if we could, like, if we didn't have to go through these financial cycles of like, we're broke, so we got to stay home for 2 years, or okay, great, we
Yeah,
have some money, let's go tour. Okay, wait, again, we're broke. Like, I feel like sometimes it sucks so much because we do have these fans out there that would move heaven and earth to bring us to their spot. But the truth is,
yeah,
they're not going to pay us the
yeah,
$1,000 it would cost for us to fly to Denver and play.
yeah, totally.
So I feel bad because, like, in a way, like, we're still trying to navigate that and keep people interested. And we found currently that the best way we can do that and what our plan is for the next year is, okay, so we're going to stick close to home. Let's work some weekend runs in. But the best thing that we can do for our fans right now is give them something new to care about and listen to every other month. So we're about to release a single this Friday with a music video. And our plan is to do every like 6 to 8 weeks for the next year or so,
No shit.
stack up, like to give them something to be excited about and see that we are doing something. But it is hard because it's like, how do I tell someone who's like, I miss you. Please come back to Philly. I miss you. Please come to Ohio again. Or, hi, I just found you. I need to see you in Denver. How do you say to someone like, it's usually like, oh, I would love to do that. We're going to try. But if, like, feasibly, if we can't tell a venue, like, hey, we can sell 400 tickets and we will all make some decent money, it's totally worth it for you to have us come out.
Yeah.
That's where it gets tough.
Yeah. I, I'm waiting for you guys to come to California.
I would
I
come
would
to
love that.
California in a heartbeat. San Diego's where I first went to San Diego on my honeymoon and
Oh,
absolutely fell
that's
in love. But Milwaukee is my number one city. I'm glad I get to live here because I love it so very much. But San Diego and Nashville would probably be my two places that like, ooh, if I had the opportunity, well, San Diego, if I could afford it, I would have a beach house that I would just
oh,
like let bands stay
guaranteed.
at and tour. Like I would
Guaranteed.
like go back and forth, but I don't have beach house in San Diego money.
Neither do we.
Yeah.
Uh, so the tour, so like on your webpage, it looks like you've got like 3 or 4 shows in the Milwaukee area coming up.
Mhm.
Are those again? Those are like the $100 a night shows,
So most
and
of
you guys
those,
are just doing it.
yeah, most of those aren't even guarantees. Like a lot of the ones that we're actually starting now to get like confirmed like, hey, it's a free show, but we're paying for you to be here because we know you'll bring in fans. We've gotten a bunch of those recently, and that's really just like finally us breaking through to being like, hi, Milwaukee now knows they can depend on us. We've been around, we've been solidified here as a band. We've been playing out for since 2021. We've been playing out here consistently
Yeah,
and caught enough attention for we have a reputation here. We show up, we give 1,000%. We are nice to every single person we come across. Like my number one piece of advice to an artist, never, ever, ever be a dick to anybody. Ever. Because well, number one, it's very rarely ever warranted. Like, unless somebody's like really like getting in your face, just treat them as though they're like an acquaintance at a family reunion. That like, and I'm talking about people who are like a little like overbearing or whatever. It's just like, yes,
yeah,
Aunt Carol, yes, I definitely want to have this like random ass conversation with you. Most of the time it's just like I'm a chatty and extroverted person to begin with. So it's really not a lot for me. That's actually my downfall at the merch table is I spend way too much time with everybody. And then my husband's like, okay, you don't need to like make everybody fall in love with you. You can just be nice and polite. And I'm like, no, but like I actually had fun talking to them. They're a human being. People really undervalue humanity and human connection. I would have been thrilled if somebody random in a band paid any sort of attention to me when I was at a show, you know? Now
yeah. I
that I'm
know.
older.
When you responded to my email, I was like, "Holy shit!" Somebody said yes. This is awesome.
Well, let me tell
So
you,
I totally get it.
I'm currently on a tear of like we have an Instagram reel that's been going like really, really well, like over 100,000 views. And I said in the little caption that I will answer every comment. And
I was like,
after we get off this, I'm going to go to the gym and catch up on about 6 to 8 hours of comments that have been left. And there are people who are
"Oh
like, you didn't
man."
answer every comment. And I'm like, bro, I have a real job. like
No,
I'm working. I have to
I
eat
think I
and sleep and
remember
poop.
responding. I responded to that post. I was like, "Oh yeah, let's see if they respond to
but
everything." I
I
was totally shocked.
I 10,000% believe that if you make a promise to somebody, like actually, we have a song coming out in August. One of the lyrics is, my guilt complex won't let me break a promise. Because you can
Nice.
bet Like, I feel guilty. Somebody gave me a moment of their time. Even if they were being
Yeah.
kind of a dick about it, to like post
Yeah.
and be like, "Ugh, you didn't answer every comment. It's been like 8 hours and you haven't responded to me." Like, I get that. But I
Yeah.
eventually will not break that promise.
Nice.
And it's
I
funny
didn't
because
say when.
the guys who I respond to, and it's always guys. No offense, but like it's always guys. Cause like
Yeah.
y'all like to troll a little bit. Y'all like to little stick it to people. I get that. Um, but whenever I respond to them, like there's like people who try to troll us, and I'm just like, wow, I'm sorry, I'm not for you. Like, what do you like?
Great.
And
Yeah.
then they're like, what?
That's
You actually? Why would you respond to that? Because you had to get something off your chest. You needed to
yeah.
poke and like you needed to take someone down a peg. Why? Tell me more about that. Like
Yeah.
I should be a therapist, but I think I'd go insane and I would want to solve everybody's problems and I can't do that.
You're a
Music's the
musician.
best thing I got.
Right. Exactly.
But
Exactly.
I am willing to put in the work because well one thing is, and this may turn off some people who are more rock oriented. I'm a
Yeah.
huge fan of Taylor Swift. And there's a few reasons why I actually really deeply connect with her music because we're the same age. So I grew up with her. But
Yeah.
I don't think anybody can sit there and say they don't have respect for her work ethic and her business acumen. Like
Totally.
she
100%.
she did what we are doing right now as a starting out artist. Like she would put in the legwork and reading
Yeah.
about all the things that she has done has just been like, you know what? If Taylor Swift could do it, I can do it. Like
Yeah.
I can take some time out of my day to show people I appreciate the fact that they gave me 10 seconds of thought.
Yeah. Well, that's deep. And I'm not a huge Taylor Swift music fan, but I'm a huge Taylor Swift fan. Now,
Mhm.
I'm like, I usually tell people like I like Justin Bieber. This probably is like that rock and roll.
There's a couple
But I
songs
love
of
Justin
his
Bieber.
that I'm obsessed with, but
Yeah.
I think
So,
I
so
feel bad for him. He's got a
yeah,
lot that happened to him, and I hope
yeah,
that he finds peace.
I totally agree. But I like the Taylor Swift parallel with you because yeah, I have a lot of respect for all of the things that you are doing and the fact that you're investing so much time and money into something that you totally believe in, especially in light of sort of where you started out the conversation where you weren't really sure if this was the right space for you and you kept getting a lot of negative feedback. So to be all in the way that you are is really admirable. I find that to be really cool. Really,
Thank
really
you.
cool.
I have to say that
Um,
my talents, like otherwise, like besides like singing and being a complete neurotic freak about this band and how much I love it and just would love for it to be my like career. I will say that the reason why I make such a good office manager or administrative person, because that's what I do at work. Like I work for a brewery. I do the retail merchandising. I run their donations and fundraising programs and just generally answer the phones and stuff. I am a spreadsheet freak. My
no shit.
controller loves me because I'm so anal about inventory and about where stuff went and explaining like, okay, this was off
That's
from
so
last
awesome.
month. Like I am I am I am incredibly efficient too, by the way. There's
No shit.
I have found a way somehow to make all of this work at my own personal sacrifice sometimes, but I
Yeah.
really pride myself on like I probably could be a tour manager. I probably could do a lot of different jobs. I'm
You could be
extreme.
an accountant.
Oh, you know what? Okay, so actually one of the reasons why I wanted to take this conversation and this like do this interview, which we've totally strayed away from, is like I have an intense like personal finance brain. Like you should see
No
my
shit.
spreadsheets of how
No
like
shit.
you know how people used to balance a checkbook? I
Yeah.
do that with my credit card statement.
No
I
shit.
have so many
I
spreadsheets.
was so worried about asking those questions because, like, I was like, they're artists. they probably don't budget, they don't like that stuff.
I think you
So,
should
like,
be
I'm
afraid of
so
my
s
brain. You should be afraid of
no
my
shit.
brain and the level of detail to which, like, I haven't caught up on all the merch sales we just did because we did a $5 merch sale, and it turns out people really like that. But normally
I saw that, yeah.
I have a spreadsheet where I enter in every single merch purchase, and I put in any fees that were taken out from Venmo or Square or Stripe, or if I had a shipping cost, or what the taxes were paid, and did I pay them or is a third party paying them? Like, what do I need to pay? Like, I I have 10 million spreadsheets for all these different things. I was working on my booking spreadsheet today because we're trying to book a date in Wisconsin in on September 6th with another band. So I like took there's my master list of Wisconsin
I love that.
venues and contacts, and then I'm putting the ones, okay, so for 9/6, this is who I reached out to, this is the response, or like this is who I want to reach out to next. Like I have a media spreadsheet.
Yeah. Yeah, you would have made so much money.
My brother actually studied personal finance. He went to school for uh, accounting. And he actually is a project manager at an electrical supply company. And he's always like, man, I just want somebody on my team that's like you. And I'm like, ah,
Yeah,
but
totally.
I have a cushy job at the brewery. I get to kind of run my own day and like whatever. I have great PTO and great benefits. Thank you, Lakefront Brewery. Shout out for allowing my existence to continue.
So we're running short on time.
I'm
I
sorry. I
there's
could talk
2
for
no,
hours with you.
I'm happy to keep going. Um, you just have to forget the one listener that I probably do have might have dropped off by now. But I personally do wanna cover you've mentioned LLC a few times, and then I do wanna just talk about your own personal finances,
Yeah.
which is what we're already talking about. So going back to the band, it almost sounds like you're not really making any money, and any money that you do make gets reinvested into all of the various projects, whether it's recording, I think you were using the term tracking, doing the video, like everything that you guys do is super high quality. Like
Thank
the
you.
videos are really well done. The music that you have on Spotify is like really well produced. There's like nuances to all of it that just sound really polished. But like, you're not really making any money, but I did hear you say that you have an LLC, and so are you keeping track of all of the money that you're spending that goes into keeping the band afloat? And, like, do you file taxes? Like, how does that side of the band?
Absolutely. So we started the LLC in 2022 after we signed with the label because the idea, our starry eyes, we were going to blow up and we were going to need to claim those profits and all of that money on our taxes so that we made sure we were paying our part because I don't do anything under the table. I am as
Yeah,
transparent as I can possibly be.
no
I have
shit.
my anxiety says someday I'll get like audited, the IRS will come. So like I was taught very well to keep very good records as much as possible. And so we started the LLC because I was like, okay, well, we need to account for all this stuff. The other thing was it was supposed to help divest responsibility. So
Yeah.
we had our own shuttle bus, like that we outfitted with bunks. We've done that twice now. It's very expensive. And it sometimes fails, which is why we do not have a tour bus right now. But um, to your point about like our stuff being high quality, I just have to say that I'm surrounded by my bandmates who are similar to me, and it's like we would never half-ass anything because that's not what we're here to do. But we're very lucky to have people who are very good at producing and hearing things and tracking. We're good at having a mechanic. My husband is a car guy, so he's been a mechanic. So that's helped us in a lot of ways when we were on tour and had bus troubles. And then just all in all, very talented people who give their all. So we started the LLC, and a lot of that has actually, on a personal finance side, allowed me to claim expenses that normally we just took a loss, like straight up loss on, like all of our savings, whatever, on previous tours before we had the LLC. We couldn't discount those against our personal income. So Wisconsin is a unique situation. And actually, I think maybe California might be similar. So Wisconsin is known as a common law state. if you're married, you are considered one single entity to the state, for better or for worse politically, however we want to look at that.
Yeah.
It has
Yeah.
been a benefit to us in a way because I filed the LLC as a joint ownership with my husband, but we get to file our taxes as a single entity LLC because we always file our taxes married, filing jointly. So it's reduced actually our personal tax burden, but we do take that money and put it back into things. Um, which has, we view it as like offsetting all of the money that we put into the band and lost. It like
Well,
helps offset that for us, so we're allowed to like build up our savings a little bit so then we have some sort of funding in the coffers. And our bandmates have been like very trusting. Like I keep pretty meticulous records and I'm always like, if you have any issues or like, if you want to see my spreadsheet about like how much money did we make at the show on merch, how much money did we make from the door, whatever, I have all of that. You guys like our band Google Drive is where all of that stuff lives and they can see all of that. But
and
the
you guys
bank,
share all of that profit?
well, there
Or
is no profit.
yeah.
It goes into the band bank account and I'll update them like, hey guys, we made X amount of money. Here's where the savings account is. Here's where we have a savings and a checking account. And that was my brilliant
Yeah.
idea being like, oh, money we make on merch and streaming will go back into merch. So that's in the checking bucket because we're going to spend that money. The savings
So
bucket is all of the show money we've made. So like door deals, guarantees, that'll pay for like, say, gas or tour supplies, things like that. But really, they're kind of interchangeable. We just spend like making
it's
money from
fungible, yeah.
shows helps fund our like paying for mixing and mastering our music videos. So the savings account doesn't get touched as often. It will now that we're like releasing music again. Whereas the like merch bucket was like, oh, okay, we need more t-shirts. So here's the checking account that we put all of our merch earnings into. But I keep
And
them afloat and they're allowed to ask any questions. Like I would supply bank statements if they asked for it. It's more of just like okay, you handle that side of things. And the end game is that they like never have to pay anything out of their pocket for a show.
nice.
So that's kind
Nice.
of where that comes into. It's more of like, we're all doing this thing. We're all putting in our time. I do a lot of this like other extra business side work stuff so that my
Yeah.
brain can take a rest and be okay with what I'm
Yeah.
doing, but also
Yeah.
like to be able to provide them because we have had band members that are like, where's all this money going? And I'm like, there is money, but it's so much less than you think. And like,
Yeah.
we like it, like we're making, I'll say that sometimes like the shows we get to go on where we open for somebody else
Yeah.
and it's like our favorite venue in the entire
Yeah.
world. Like love them so much. We're good friends. We spend a lot of money there just going to shows. We'll open for bands that come through there because we want to open for those bands. Those are the shows we make the least amount of money on because they need to pay those bands that are touring first. We live 5 minutes away. I will never be upset to play a free show at that venue because they're part of my community. I want them to be successful and it's my backyard. And I would hope that a venue or an artist that we play with across the country would think the same for us. Like, hey, we'll take the lower payout. We'll take $50 for the night to cover gas and some beers because that band that's on tour, I know how much they need that.
So let
That was
me
I'm actually not even, what was the original question? I'm so sorry.
then no, I love everything you're saying. The original question was just about the LLC, and the only follow-up question I was going to have was just out of curiosity. Your savings account, is it a high yield savings account or is it just a convenient savings account that you have with your primary checking company?
So I have my own personal checking. My husband has his own personal checking, and we have a joint money market. That's like our money from our like
Yeah.
personal paychecks at our jobs and stuff. Um,
Yeah.
and I will say the one nice thing being in the band we're currently like where we currently are at and the money we've made, and now that we're independent, everything comes back to us except for like the music we sold. Um, the band bank account has allowed us to build up our personal savings for like stuff like repairs to our house because we have an old house.
Nice. Nice.
So it's allowed us to be like the band thing now is its own separate funding. And until those accounts get to zero, then we'll have to pull from our own savings again, which the goal is to never, ever, ever, ever have to do again. But the band's personal checking and the personal saving, or the band's, sorry, band business checking, band business savings are separate from our personal checking and our personal savings
Nice.
account.
Nice.
And unfortunately, there's not enough in the band bank account to qualify for a high yield savings account. But
Okay.
we are at a credit union, um, which I love because our credit union takes there's no fees on the two accounts we have, and we
Good.
do earn a
Good.
small percentage on the checking account and the savings
Good.
account. But
Good.
it's not enough to really make a dent based on what we have in there currently. All I know is right now we have enough in both of those accounts to fund the 4 singles we currently have set and a music video for each.
And so how much will the next music video cost you to produce?
Ideally, we're working with the same person who cut us like a decent deal. Like I'll say he's very affordable. He charged us $750 for the music video that will come out on Friday, and as far as I'm aware, it'll be the same deal for the music video coming out.
$750?
hmm
No shit.
And that I like this guy is super talented. He's really like passionate about Milwaukee, and he does a lot of like work for local Milwaukee businesses, which is how
Yeah.
we kind of got in touch with him. And we're very lucky because he doesn't work with everybody. Like he has a pretty full schedule, but we're friends. So like we became friends with him because we are friends with other bands who've utilized him, and we were just like, you're so cool. Like you're so awesome as a person. Like you totally get our vibe. We
Nice.
actually that's so and I'm being honest, when we went with him when we needed somebody who was lower budget than somebody we'd worked with previously. The other person we worked with previously, it was at least 1200, 1250 per video, and he had a lot more equipment, um and it looked more cinematic. But I feel like our vibe has shifted a little bit, where the stuff that like we invested in that looked really cinematic like a movie didn't
Yeah.
really move the needle. And
Stay the same? Is that what you're talking about? Or
oh, Stay the Same is a totally different. So Stay the Same was our first music video we shot in Milwaukee. We didn't have to pay a fee to use the skate park because we did it after hours. And the roller girls that are in it, I happened
yeah.
to work with a couple of them, and I was
No
like,
shit.
"Yo, can like you said you're like when does you said your crew does after hours like practices? What if we filmed a music video and just like happened to shoot you guys as you were just like doing your thing?" Like I don't think we could have like pictured or paid for. There's Paula is the girl who gets on her hands like handstand and like
Yeah.
twerks.
Yeah. Yeah.
She, first of all, phenomenal person, phenomenal roller skater. That was just her doing her thing.
No shit.
So we
And
did
how
don't
much did that video cost you?
that would have been, let's see. So we paid for plane tickets. We flew our previous videographer who had shot Firestarter and Empty Space for us. His name is Brandon. He still lives in the Austin area. But we didn't know anybody up here at the time. And we were like, Brandon, you've always done us a solid. What would it take to bring you up here? And he was like, pay for my plane ticket and buy me a new gimbal or something like that.
Oh, wow.
So,
No
and
shit.
the funny story is, like, so he gets here, and like 2 hours before we're supposed to go to the skate park and shoot, I had an in there. My friend was working the front desk, and he was like, "Yeah, just come shoot after hours. It's no big deal. The roller girls are going to be here. Like, it's fine. Do whatever." So Brandon flies up here 2 hours before we're supposed to shoot. He's like, "I don't know what's going on with my battery. It's like bricked,
No.
or my camera, something's bricked. Like the batteries won't, like it won't turn on." So we drive to Best Buy and we buy a new camera that's like within like the specs he wanted or needed.
Yeah.
And we return it the next day. Don't do that. I mean, disclaimer, don't do that. But like, if you have to in a situation.
Nice.
So we did that. And because he could only charge it for the amount of time that we could charge it before we were supposed to start shooting,
Yeah.
we got as
No
much footage
shit.
as we could. And also we flew Nick up.
Wow.
so Nick's the guy that we collaborate with,
Yeah.
and I was like, so he does guest vocals on the song, and I was like, Nick, you have to do this. Like, you have to come up and do this with us. Like,
Yeah.
so we flew him up here too. So I want
It's
to
such a
say
good song.
thank you. And I feel like so we had a lot of fun. The stupid tractor that's in it. That's so I think that's an example of like a song where like we didn't take ourselves too seriously and we were just like the song is a banger. Let's just fucking get drunk in a skate park and do like the most
Yeah.
pop punk thing we could do. And then for
Yeah.
some reason we deviated from that for like ensuing music videos for a little bit where we were like, "Oh, we have to be like serious artists." Me being like, "I
Um,
need to take this seriously and like
yeah.
direct these things." And it turns out that the stuff where you're just kind of having fun and doing whatever you would normally do in like a goofy situation, that translates so much better. So that's like the format we're going back to. We're just going back to being like, we're having fun with this. If it looks stupid, like honestly, that's probably how it should look.
Yeah, no, I loved I'm like, I was watching, I'm like, "Where the fuck do they get the the money to do this? This is crazy." And it
Honestly,
sounds like yeah, wow, it doesn't sound like it was that expensive.
no. So I want to say the plane tickets were expensive, paying for the new gimbal that we bought Brandon. I mean,
Yeah,
let's just call it 1,500. That
yeah,
might be on the
that's
low
like
end, but like
wow,
1,500 to 2,000. And that
okay,
was just because we were like, we need to make a splash. We've been absent from the scene for a couple of years. We haven't released anything. Like, let's bring it back. And that to date is our most viewed video. It's our most streamed song.
it's
I think,
such an awesome song, I love this.
thank you. When we wrote it, we were like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like a pop princess, like Mariah Carey guest spotted for Limp Bizkit. It's weird. It's different. And
Yeah, no, I
some
love it.
people who heard it were like, this is weird. It wasn't the vibe at the time that we wrote it, but it came out
Yeah,
4 years later. And sometimes I think timing's everything. Like,
yeah,
there are many songs we've written that I was like, damn, if we had wrote this 5 years later, maybe it would have been something, or 20 years ago. Like, but then we just write what we feel, and we make a song. We treat each individual song as its own thing. So, and I think we just do justice to the song,
yeah,
the structure of it, the lyrical content, whatever we're feeling at the time, and that has allowed us to kind of like operate without limitations. Like it's always going to sound like Gold Steps because it's always my voice, it's always my lyrics,
yeah,
and it's
yeah,
always our instruments. But
yeah,
you'll hear different influences on different songs because we'll be like, dang, this is giving a Fall Out Boy vibe, or this is giving
yeah.
a like the new song we're about to release. We put this little piano thing in it, and I was like, why does this give me Walking in Memphis vibes? Which
Very
hopefully,
cool.
like nobody will be like, I don't understand this. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, hopefully, people just hear it and they're like, this bangs. Like, it sounds like All Time Low, or it sounds like if Katy Perry put out a pop punk album or something. Like, hopefully, they hear it and think that. But it is weird because sometimes we're like, I don't know how to categorize ourselves. And then it just takes like four people jumping in the comments to be like, oh my gosh, this
This
sounds
is
so
what
much.
this is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we just always gravitate towards the easy things. Like people understand like Blink 182 has guitars and
Yeah.
fast drums. Avril
Yeah.
Lavigne is, she actually, I feel like, does more ballads, but she's known for being the pop punk princess. So she's an easy, like, she influences me. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think our music actually
Paramore?
sounds like Avril Lavigne,
Yeah.
but it's close enough.
Do you ever get compared to Paramore?
All the time. We actually do a Paramore
Yeah.
tribute set, and that
Yeah,
has
no, I think
been
I saw it.
yeah, that has been financially more viable for us in a way.
No shit.
We were with a manager, who wanted to, like, have that as a completely separate project, and he was like, "I could get you in casinos all over the country," and we were like, "Right, but, like, you believe in our real music, right? Like, our own music," and he was like, "Yeah, that's great."
No. I
And he's
believe in getting you into those casinos.
well, and I understand it, and actually one of the reasons why we parted with him wasn't because he's not a great person. It was just we really believe in our little
Yeah.
band and the stuff that we're writing and
Yeah.
that it connects with people. And I love Paramore, but Paramore is Paramore. I'm
Yeah,
happy to do
exactly.
I don't want to be known as a cover band.
Yeah.
We'll play cover shows. people will pay us money, we'll play a cover show. Totally fine. I just
Oh, you
also
love
would
the
like
gold steps. Yeah.
right, like,
Yeah.
that's the dangerous slope, though, because it's easy to be like, "Oh, we could get paid, like, 4 times as much
Yeah.
if we play songs people know."
Yeah.
But,
But what the fuck is the point of that?
yeah, I mean, I don't mind doing it a couple times a year. Like, the Paramore thing is fun because it's, like it's more of, like, a challenge to tell people, like, "Great, so now you've heard us, like, destroy Paramore. Like, you've heard us, like, I can hit the same notes. I'm never gonna be Hayley Williams, but I can do a good enough job.
Yeah.
Now go listen to our stuff that sounds like us." That's the end
I like
game for that.
it. All right, well, let's end on your personal finances. You cool with that?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'm already totally shocked about your your budgeting comments. I find that so endearing, because I'm a budgeting total nerd myself. Um, but how about like credit score, health insurance? Do you participate in any retirement planning? Like, how does like the traditional personal finance situation look for you guys?
Do you know who Howard Clark is?
I don't.
Okay. So I used to work at a call center and I would work like the late shift. So I'd get off at like 2 a.m. And scrolling through the radio, it's all like garbage. But
Yeah.
somehow I ended up finding this guy named Howard Clark. And he's this like super nasal personal finance guy. So on
It's
my 30-minute drive home from my job downtown back to my parents' house in Muskego, I would listen to him.
how long ago was this?
Let's see, this must have been when I was in like, I want to say 2010-ish to about, I think I
Okay.
left that job in like early 2014. So I would just
Okay.
listen to him. And that's where I first learned about like the snowball effect of paying off debt, where
Yeah.
like you pay off the smallest debt first because then you can snowball it into the next thing rather
Yeah.
than trying to
Yeah.
take the big chunk. And also like depending on the interest rate. I was,
Yeah. Very good. Nice.
yeah.
Like that's solid shit right there.
So I grew up in a family where my parents, one person did like the budgeting and finance, and the other person just kind of did whatever they did. And then they flip flopped at some point. Because there must have been a fight about money at some point where somebody was like, you know what? You pay all the bills because you don't see what we're spending. I think it went from my mom paying all the bills to my
So
dad
you're
paying
good.
all the bills. And my
Nice.
dad and I are very like much the same person. So I think I learned a lot from him. I think that also may coincide with the point in my life as a child where I was like, oh no, we're poor. Mom said we can't buy Capri Suns for all the neighborhood kids. If we buy Capri Suns, we can't tell them we have Capri Suns because then all the neighbor kids will drink them. And mom says we cannot afford to buy more Capri Suns. I want those
We love
Capri
y'all.
Suns. So like I have an unfortunate financial anxiety. Thanks, mom and dad. But it taught me a lot. I
And
did,
so I have the same exact relationship with money. Like I'm always convinced we're gonna run out of money. And so I'm never spending on anything.
yeah.
We're
My
never buying the neighbor kids Capri Suns.
right. When my husband and I started dating, he was upside down on a car loan and I was like, oh no. No, we don't do that. Absolutely not.
No
You don't
shit.
need a new truck. I
No.
can be forgiving. I can be very like that's the thing actually. I've found the way to make him happy is to like let him like sometimes you just have to say yes to a thing where you're like, this isn't the most financially smart decision. However, it will make my husband happy, which
I
makes
totally
me
agree.
happy.
Yes,
I'm more of
totally.
like I'm a small scale spender. So like my vices are like a good bottle of bourbon or a pair of shoes for my stage outfits or whatever, and like going out to eat. He
Yeah.
is a car guy,
No shit.
specifically a vintage Toyota guy. So
Nice.
he's a Facebook marketplace guru. He knows all the stuff, and it's worth it to him. That's his expensive hobby. But
Got
so
it.
like, as far as like the thing that made my brain click of like, okay, I can save money. I can be smart with my money was Howard Clark. And a lot of that was just like, your credit score is important. You need to start building credit in your early, like, adulthood because your credit score is how you're going to get loans for a vehicle. It's how you're going to get a house. It's how, like on paper, it's how the world looks at you, which sucks because
Yes.
there's a lot of people out there who will never get to build that kind of credit. And I was fortunate to have parents who did not use my social security number to open loans or credit cards.
You should.
I had
Yeah, that's
friends
great.
I had friends in college and high
Wow.
school that happened to,
That's
which is
crazy. That is
super.
crazy.
Oh, no, I know a girl who, like,
Parents? Fuck.
and you'll see it all the time online. I'm in a bunch of, like, financial independence subreddits and things like that. I'm a Redditor. So, again, still keeping up the nerd profile in a way. Um, but one of the reasons that I only applied to my local college, my university, still University of Wisconsin, but University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, versus trying to go to an expensive out-of-state school is because, in all honesty, I knew what I was gonna go to school for. I knew it probably wouldn't make me money in the long run. My parents said a bachelor's degree was really important because to this day, I still believe that having some sort of degree is important because it shows anybody that you can commit to something for 4 years.
Signal. Yeah, it signals something. Absolutely.
It signals commitment,
Yeah.
it signals work ethic, depending on your
Yeah.
GPA. Um,
I totally agree. I totally agree with that. But
but
it's
I
no guaranteed ticket, and
Right.
it's could be hugely expensive for some people too.
Yeah, and I always believed in my own work ethic and ability to like if I can get an interview, it is rare that I've not gotten hired for something. I'm a
I could
good
see that.
I'm a good
Yeah, I
talker.
could see that. I could see that. So
Thank you.
Howard Clark is like the the inspiration behind
My
your
whole life.
financial stability, I guess, is what we would say.
Yeah, I think he
And it
taught
was
me
just
to be
some
smart.
random show at 2 in the morning on some man, that is really cool.
I mean, I fully believe if you're not listening and not taking in all of the things around you to like make informed decisions that you're at a disservice to yourself. Like
I totally
I'm an
agree.
active listener no matter where I am. And I pick up on
Interesting.
stuff. And so like he taught me a lot about like not getting debt in the first place, but if you have debt, how to
Yeah,
pay it off. I mean,
yeah.
I
Man,
made
those are 2 huge points right there.
and also
Just stay
like
away from it altogether.
well, I also learned the hard way by like I moved out when I turned 18. I moved in with a boyfriend. I signed my parents co-signed for an apartment. And he ended up totally screwing me over on it. Like this ex-boyfriend of mine, like he dropped out of school and he was like, well, you have two jobs. So you should pay 2/3 of everything. And I ended up not,
Jesus.
I didn't break the lease. I moved back home, but I paid out the rest of the lease because that was the commitment I made.
Unreal, really.
It's okay.
Wow.
He sucks. But that was my
It
high school
definitely sounds
boyfriend.
like
Yeah.
wow.
But so I stayed at home. And even when I wanted to move out, I didn't because I said, okay, my parents aren't charging me rent. I do whatever I want to do. But I made sure to, before I moved out again, ever, like with my next person that I did end up moving out with, by the time I was ready to move out again, I had paid off my car loan. I had paid off any student loans I had, but I was lucky because I got scholarships whenever I could and kept those. And my parents were kind enough to for our child tax credit or whatever it was, like
Yeah.
$2,500 that they got, like they paid that towards our tuition. So I graduated with very minimal student loans and paid them off as soon as I could. And my car loan I paid off. And since then, I have been so proud in my life that the only time I've ever paid interest on a credit card, because that was the other thing I learned from Howard Clark is get a credit card,
And at the end
buy
of the
like
month.
your gas on it and pay it off every month. To this day, the only interest I've ever paid on a credit card wasn't because the balance was too high. It was because I was an idiot and forgot. For like, and it's always like, it's one
This
of
is what
those
they
like,
bank on.
and it's wake up in the middle of the night. No, I can't believe I forgot to pay the Visa. What did I do? And sometimes they'll
It's
forgive
just
that.
and so are you do you use credit cards that give you the best points? Is that your vibe? Like, do you pay attention to the points that you're earning, and do you take advantage of any of that stuff?
I probably should be like shopping around right now, but I bought a Southwest. I got a Southwest credit card after my grandfather passed away, and I needed to buy, like, tickets, like, last minute, um, to come to his funeral. Um, so I ended up signing up for this card because it's like, well, that's like, oh, they're doing a points deal where if you spend X amount of dollars within 3 months, you'll earn, like, extra points or something like that, and I was like, "That's about, like, what we would spend anyway, so I think we can make that happen." So we do that. I always am looking for, like, the discounts, like, on, like, the website, like, every time I check that thing religiously, so I'm always over there like, "Oh, they added new, like, deals where, like, you just click to add it to your account, so when you swipe your card at this establishment, you get X amount of points back," or whatever.
Yeah,
So, I try to keep up on that. I probably should look at getting a cashback card now that Southwest
I agree.
discontinued.
I was gonna recommend that.
Yeah.
For you guys personally too, it seems like it would make a lot of sense.
We probably should get a BP card, even though I like, you know, gas companies really suck, but they're like a necessary evil, but that would be really good for
Yeah,
us on tour.
yeah,
Because Taco
yeah.
Bell doesn't have a gift card or doesn't have a credit card as far as I know. And we actually,
That's
now
all.
that we're older, we really don't eat a lot of Taco Bell because our tummies are more sensitive now that we're older. We
Now
eat
that
pretty
you're
well on
older.
tour. We actually for a while we were doing the bagged salad gig. Like we kept a cooler while we were on tour. Like that was another
Wow,
tip
that's awesome.
for bands
Yeah.
touring. Figure out a way to eat in your bus or your van. Like, takeout every
Yeah,
night gets so
totally.
expensive.
It
So,
does, and unhealthy.
unhealthy, yeah. We ate a
Yeah,
lot of carrots and hummus on tour. We did
nice.
splurge sometimes. We would go to Aldi wherever we could find it and get, like, a baguette and some goat cheese and some, like, balsamic vinegar and feel really decadent, but it was, like, 10 bucks, and it would feed us for a couple days.
That's awesome. So last question, how about retirement? Do you guys do you guys participate in any employer-sponsored retirement? Do you open up IRAs? Like, what does that look like?
100%. If your employer has some sort of employee match, take it. Find any way you can to match it. I'm very lucky. I've worked for multiple big corporations. Like, I was a manager for Starbucks and I worked my way up. They had a great stock program. I still hold their stock. I'm looking at selling it though, just because I think they're going to be on the downturn soon. I don't have a lot of faith in their new CEO.
Yeah.
Um, but I have stock from them that I still earn dividends on. I have like my retirement accounts. My current employer, um, I like basically what I've been doing for the last like few years is 10%. I never see that 10%. It just goes straight into my
Yeah.
401k. It helps
It
me
goes to
complete my full employer's match and then a little bit on top. My husband does the same. So he
you guys are surprisingly, I mean, maybe I shouldn't say surprisingly, but, like, you're doing everything, like, spot on perfectly. Like, I know that you had mentioned maybe I give you some advice at the end after I listen to your story, and my advice to you is just totally continue to do what you're doing because it's, like, so spot on. Like, the only thing I would add that I'm sure you're gonna echo it right now is that you just have to be consistent in what you've been doing. You consistently need to be avoiding credit card debt, but it's okay to use the credit card as long as you pay it off every month. You have to consistently do that, and then you have to consistently contribute to your retirement,
Mhm.
and 10% usually between 10 and 15% is usually the benchmark. Like, those are 2 massive things that are it's just like there's no real secret to being financially stable in the long run, and those are like the 2 bedmarks of financial stability, and it's so awesome that you got it from some, like, random guy at 2 in the morning on the radio. I just totally love that. It's so
I have
amazing,
no
and I'm
clue what radio station it even was. I just know that I kept my dial to it so that when I left work, I was like, "Ooh, I wonder what I'm gonna learn tonight." And
And
it's
his name was Howard Clark?
Howard Clark, look him up.
Okay.
I vaguely know what he looks like because I think I Googled him one time because I was like, who the hell is this guy who's like helping me set myself up for a better future? But, and I will say, like, one thing that maybe hinders us as a band is like, none of us are going to quit our day jobs.
Yeah.
That's just like a given at this point. Like, our bassist is turning 40 at the end of this month. All of us are married now except our drummer, who's in a serious relationship. We all have mortgages.
Yeah.
So maybe, and that's like us trying to like, and maybe this is why like we're not as appealing to like a bigger label because we have our feet in two separate worlds. There's our normal day lives and there's our, night secret rock star life. But I think, and maybe that's hindered us from like taking some of those bigger risks that pay off. But we did take those risks when we were younger and it didn't pay off. So like to us at this point, it's like, as long as we're stable here at home, as long as I know that my mortgage is paid and I can put food on the table, like there was when we did go on that month-long tour, you had asked like what kind of sacrifices we made.
Yeah.
I went on a leave of absence from my work and I ended up having to pay my own health insurance premium for that month. That was like 800 something dollars.
Yeah.
My employer is very, very, very generous. I normally only pay $40 every paycheck and I get paid every other week. So my employer does a
Hooking you up.
solid. I
Yeah.
am loyal as
Yeah.
hell to this place. Like I will
Yeah.
never work anywhere else unless they like get bought out by a
So they
bigger
almost pay
company.
all of your they almost pay all of your health insurance, and they do some type of 401k match. That's
And a 401k match and I have very generous PTO.
nice.
Very generous. So like I have no plans to ever leave this job. Like the owner would have to pass away and like have it be sold to somebody that just
That's
destroys it.
amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
That seems like the mic drop moment right there.
Yeah, my ring light
That's really
died also.
nice. Well, I'm definitely looking up Howard Clark. And
Do it.
maybe one last question
Yeah.
is like, what was it about him that resonated with you? Like, why did you tune into that guy?
I think I was just searching for something to listen to and I heard his voice and it was like it was something about like want to work your way out of debt. And like as somebody who's like just always had anxiety about being like broke
Interesting.
because I've been there before,
So
like
he hit that right nerve.
he hit the right
And he was
nerve.
so different than who you are or who you were at the moment though, but he still somehow totally connected with something inside of you that
Yeah. Well,
inspired you to listen.
and this might sound really bleak, but like we live in a capitalistic society. And the truth
Yeah.
is, people who are stable financially will have more opportunities because we can take bigger risks. So if I have
Yeah.
this cushion to fall back on, then I won't be I won't be stuck in a job that I hate because I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I won't be worrying about if my car breaks down, how do I pay for it so I can get back on the road? And that was always a motivating factor for me is like the life that I want to live, like if I can be smart and manage my money and work my way up in life so that I don't have to worry about those things, the rest of it is manageable. Because and that's the thing, there are too many talented people out there, too many good people out there who are stuck because they didn't have the privilege and opportunities that I have had to work my way up. I mean, I grew up in a lower to middle class family that became gradually middle class. And I I don't personally ever want to feel the struggle of somebody living paycheck to paycheck ever again. I did that when I was in college. My parents always made it aware that they were a safety net, but I insisted on learning my own mistakes. Like the apartment that I signed that I ended up funding 2/3 of because of my deadbeat boyfriend, like I learned a lesson. I lost my entire savings account paying for that stuff. I I learned a lot of humility from realizing that somebody did not think of me in the same way that I thought of them. So, like, all those life lessons, I'll say that too. I've always had a perspective of like, while bad things have happened to me, it's how I deal with it to grow from it. And the like victimhood, I've been privileged enough to not have to worry about becoming a victim of somebody else ever again in that way.